Hello everyone. Welcome to our English learning journey. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can practice and improve your English every day in a simple, useful, and practical way. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that when you listen or read English, you understand it very well, but when it's your turn to speak, your mind feels slow? Maybe you know exactly what you want to say, but the words just don't come easily. Maybe you stop in the middle of a sentence because you are trying to find the perfect word. If this sounds familiar, don't worry, you are not alone. Many English learners face this problem. Have you also noticed something about native English speakers? They sound relaxed and confident, even when they talk about difficult or serious topics. They don't seem nervous. They rarely stop in the middle of sentences. Their words flow naturally, and the conversation feels easy. Today, we are going to talk about why this difference happens. This lesson is about the gap between understanding English and speaking it smoothly. More importantly, it is about learning how to think like a native English speaker. Now, don't worry, this does not mean memorizing long grammar rules or difficult vocabulary lists. Instead, it means understanding how ideas move naturally in real conversations. Think about your mobile phone. You use it every day, right? When you unlock your phone, open apps, or type messages, do you think about every single step? No, your fingers just move automatically. You don't say to yourself, now I will press this button. You just do it. Native English speakers use language in the same way. They don't build sentences word by word in their heads. Instead, they think about ideas, feelings, reactions, and intentions first. The words come naturally after that. Here's an important truth. Native speakers do not try to sound advanced or impressive. They try to sound clear and natural. Good English is not about using long or difficult words. It's about using the right words at the right time, so people understand you easily. For example, instead of saying, I am experiencing difficulties with my internet connection, a native speaker usually says, my internet is acting up. Both sentences mean the same thing, but the second one feels human and natural, while the first sounds like something from a textbook or report. Native speakers choose words that feel comfortable in daily life. Let's look at some examples from technology, because we often talk about phones, apps, and the internet in modern English. Instead of saying, my phone battery decreased rapidly, a native speaker says, my battery drained fast. Instead of saying, I did not receive your message, they say, I never got your message. Instead of saying, the application is not functioning properly, they say, the app isn't working or the app crashed. These choices are not random. They're quicker, easier, and commonly understood by everyone. This is how real English sounds, simple, direct, and natural. Learning to think this way will help you speak faster, feel more confident, and sound natural every day. Native speakers don't use long, formal sentences in everyday situations. For example, instead of saying something complicated, they simply say, the app keeps crashing. This short sentence is alive, real, and full of emotion. It shows annoyance or frustration without directly explaining feelings. That is how native speakers communicate. They let their words show emotion instead of explaining everything in detail. Now, let's slow down and practice an important skill, thinking in English instead of translating from your native language. Imagine a common situation. You're working on your laptop and suddenly it freezes. The screen stops responding. You click, but nothing happens. What is the first thought that comes to your mind? Most native speakers don't think about grammar or sentence structure first. They think emotionally. For example, many people think, not again. This thought comes before the sentence. Then, the words come naturally. The person might simply say, my laptop just froze. This sentence is short, clear, and direct. It doesn't need extra explanation. Let's build on this idea with a short story. Last week, I was working late at night. I had many browser tabs open, a video playing in the background, and messages coming in on my phone. Everything was happening at the same time. Suddenly, my laptop became very slow. The screen stopped responding and the cursor wouldn't move. At that moment, my first thought was not technical. I didn't think about memory or software problems. My first thought was emotional. This is the worst timing. This is how native English thinking works. Feelings come first, language follows naturally. I pressed a few keys, hoping the problem would fix itself. Nothing happened. I took a deep breath, sighed, and said out loud, "It finally gave up." This sentence is interesting because the laptop did not really give up like a person. But the phrase sounds natural in English. Native speakers often use human actions to describe machines or objects. For example, my phone refuses to charge. My Wi-Fi doesn't want to cooperate. These expressions make English more natural, emotional, and expressive. After restarting my laptop, I checked my phone. I saw a message asking why I had stopped replying. I didn't explain everything that happened. I didn't talk about frozen screens, open tabs, or slow performance. I simply replied, "My laptop crashed, so I got delayed." Short, simple, and natural. That's how real English works. That sentence was clear, natural, and complete. It gave just enough information without being too long. This brings us to a very important point for advanced English learners. Native speakers usually do not explain more than necessary. They don't give extra details unless the situation really requires it. Instead, they trust the listener to understand the context. This habit keeps conversations smooth, fast, and natural. When you learn to do the same, your English will sound more confident and more like a native speaker. Now, let's look at some more sentences that native speakers use every day, especially when talking about technology. I need to update my software. The app logged me out again. My storage is almost full. I backed up my files just in case. The link is not loading. My screen brightness is too low. These sentences are short, clear, and flexible. You can use them in many situations without changing much. This is what advanced English really looks like. It's not about difficult grammar or complex words. It's about having simple, useful sentences ready in your mind when you need them. Next, let's talk about how native speakers connect ideas. In textbooks, you often see long phrases like, "because of that reason." But in real English, native speakers usually say, "that's why." It's shorter, simpler, and more natural. Similarly, instead of saying, "in my opinion," native speakers often say, "I think" or "I feel like." These phrases sound softer and more conversational. For example, instead of saying, "in my opinion, this update is unnecessary," a native speaker would say, "I feel like this update wasn't needed." The meaning is the same, but the feeling is very different. The second sentence sounds friendly and open, like a real conversation. It invites other people to agree or disagree naturally. Now, think about how native speakers react during conversations. When something surprises them, they might say, "that makes sense." "I didn't see that coming." When something is annoying, they might say, "that's frustrating." "That drives me crazy." These reactions come naturally. People don't translate them in their heads, they just say them. If you want to think like a native speaker, you should start collecting reactions, not just vocabulary words. Reactions help you stay active in a conversation and keep it flowing smoothly. Let's continue the laptop story. After everything restarted, I noticed a system update notification. At first, I wanted to ignore it. I remembered how many times I had delayed updates before. Then I changed my mind. I clicked install and walked away from the computer. While I was waiting, I checked my phone again. Someone had shared a link with me, but it would not open. I shook my head and said, Technology is really testing my patience today. This sentence sounds natural because it focuses on emotion, not just facts. When everything finally started working again, I felt calm and relieved. I did not say, "I am relieved now." That sounds unnatural. Instead, I said, "At least it's working now." This is how native speakers usually express relief. They keep it simple and natural. Learning these small habits will help your English sound more real and confident every day. Native speakers often focus on results instead of talking directly about emotions. This way of thinking is not only for technology, it applies to everyday situations too. When you miss a call, you don't explain the reason in detail. You simply say, "I'll call you back." When you are busy, you say, "I'm tied up right now." When something is easy to do, you say, "That was pretty straightforward." These phrases do not come from grammar books. They come from real conversations and real life. This brings us to an important change in mindset. Many learners ask, "Is this sentence correct?" That question is not wrong, but it is not the most helpful one. A better question is, does this sound like something a real person would say? When you start thinking this way, your English learning changes completely. You stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be natural. Have you noticed how fast native speakers react in conversations? They respond almost immediately. They don't pause for a long time. Their sentences flow easily, and the meaning is clear, even when the words are simple. This happens because they are not translating in their heads. They're responding with ideas and reactions, not grammar rules. One of the most important steps to thinking like a native speaker is to stop focusing on grammar first. Grammar is important, but it should not be your starting point in conversation. Instead, you should listen to real conversations. Notice patterns. Pay attention to how people actually speak. Notice which phrases they repeat and how they express common situations. It's the rhythm and natural phrasing that make English sound alive, not perfect grammar alone. Let's look again at how native speakers talk about technology in daily life. If a phone is not working properly, a native speaker says, "My phone is acting up." This sentence is short, easy, and natural. They do not say complicated textbook phrases. Sometimes, when we try to speak English, we want to sound perfect. But in real life, native speakers don't sound perfect. They sound natural. For example, you might hear someone say, "My phone is experiencing a malfunction." That sentence is correct, but it sounds too formal and stiff for everyday conversation. Native speakers prefer short, simple verbs like act up, crash, freeze, lag. For example, saying, "My laptop froze again," feels immediate and emotional. You can feel the frustration without the speaker explaining it. This is exactly how native speakers talk. The sentence itself shows the feeling. The same principle works when talking about work or daily tasks. Native speakers usually explain problems in short, clear phrases. They don't give every small detail unless it is necessary. For instance, instead of saying, "I was unable to attend the meeting because my internet connection failed unexpectedly," a native speaker would simply say, "Sorry, my internet went down, so I missed the meeting." The meaning is clear, the sentence is natural, and the conversation can continue smoothly. When you learn to speak this way, your English becomes faster, smoother, and more confident. You stop sounding like a textbook and start sounding like a real person. This is the true goal of advanced English: clear ideas, natural phrases, and easy communication. A short, natural sentence like, "My internet went out, so I missed the meeting," works perfectly. It is short, clear, and natural, and in real English, people often leave some details unspoken because both speakers understand the situation. This makes conversations faster and more comfortable. Another trick that makes English sound natural is giving human qualities to objects, especially technology. You might hear, My Wi-Fi doesn't want to work today. This app keeps refusing to open. At first, this might sound strange, but it is very common in everyday English. It makes the language casual, friendly, and expressive. It also allows you to show emotion without explaining it directly. For example, instead of saying, "The printer is malfunctioning," you can say, "The printer is acting up again." The meaning stays the same, but the sentence sounds more fluent and natural. Small changes like this can make a big difference in how your English sounds. Let's imagine a short story to see how native thinking and speaking work. Yesterday, I was working on an important project. I had several apps open and many browser tabs on my screen. A video meeting was running in the background, and my phone kept buzzing with new messages. Everything was happening at once. Suddenly, my laptop froze. The first thing I felt was frustration. I did not think about grammar or vocabulary. I simply said, "Not again." That reaction came naturally. Then I said, "My laptop froze." These sentences are short, emotional, and clear. This is exactly how native speakers express themselves. Feelings come first, and language follows naturally. While I was waiting for the laptop to restart, I checked my phone. A friend had sent a link, but it would not open. Without thinking much, I said, "Great. Now this too." The sentence is very short, but the emotion is clear. It shows annoyance without any extra explanation. Native speakers often use small sentences like this to express feelings naturally. They do not describe every detail because it is not necessary. This is one of the biggest differences between advanced non-native English and real native English. Non-native speakers often explain too much, while native speakers trust the listener to understand the context. They keep sentences simple, emotional, and direct. When you start doing the same, your English will sound more confident, fluent, and natural in everyday conversation. Now, let's practice some common sentences about technology. These are sentences you can use every day without changing much. The app keeps logging me out. I need to update my software. My storage is almost full. I backed up all my files just in case. The link is not loading properly. The screen brightness is too low. These sentences are short, clear, and practical. Native speakers use them because they are quick and easy to understand. Memorizing these patterns will help your English sound natural. Instead of creating a new sentence every time, you already have ready-made expressions in your mind. This helps you speak faster and with confidence. Next, let's talk about giving opinions. Native speakers usually choose soft and friendly phrases. For example, instead of saying, "In my opinion, this new feature is unnecessary," a native speaker would say, "I feel like this new feature isn't really needed." The meaning is the same, but the second sentence sounds relaxed and conversational. This style invites discussion. It doesn't sound formal or stiff. You can practice this habit with any topic. I think this app is useful. I feel like this update made things easier. These sentences are simple, clear, and natural. This is how real conversation sounds. Now, let's focus on reactions. Reactions are a very important part of native thinking. They make your speech alive and real. When something surprises you, "I didn't see that coming." When something annoys you, "That's annoying." When something works perfectly, "This is perfect," or "exactly what I needed." Native speakers use reactions automatically because they focus on ideas and feelings first, not on grammar. Back to the story. After restarting my laptop, I saw a system update notification. I thought, "It's about time." I clicked install and walked away. While the update ran, I checked my phone again. A friend sent a link, but it still would not open. I shook my head and said, "This is really testing my patience today." This sentence sounds natural because it shows both emotion and context at the same time. When the update finally finished and everything started working, I felt relieved. I did not use a long or formal sentence. I simply said, "Finally, it's working." Short, clear, and natural. That is how native English speakers speak every day. I simply said, "Finally, everything is working again." Native speakers often speak this way. Each sentence is short, emotional, and clear. They don't give extra explanations because they aren't needed. This is a key idea you should remember. Native English is not about sounding advanced. It's about sounding real. When you learn to think in ideas, feelings, and reactions, your English will flow naturally. Over time, this way of speaking will feel easy, comfortable, and confident, just like it does for native speakers. Each sentence a native speaker uses is complete, emotional, and clear. You do not need long explanations to sound natural in English. Native thinking is not only about using short sentences. It's also about connecting ideas smoothly and simply. For example, instead of saying, "Because of this reason, I could not complete the task," a native speaker would say, "That's why I couldn't finish the task." The meaning is the same, but the second sentence sounds more natural and conversational. In the same way, instead of saying, "In my opinion, I prefer using this app," you can say, "I think I prefer using this app." These small changes make your speech smoother, simpler, and more relaxed. Another important part of native thinking is the order of ideas and feelings. Native speakers often talk about actions or results first, and emotions come after. For example, instead of saying, "I am very frustrated because my laptop crashed," a native speaker would say, "My laptop crashed, and that really frustrated me." The event comes first, and the feeling follows naturally. This is very common, especially in conversations about technology, because the problem itself is usually more important than the emotion. Here are more examples of native-style sentences you can use every day. My headphones stopped working again. The app froze right in the middle of the meeting. I accidentally deleted the file. I need to log in again. The battery is draining too fast. Each sentence is complete, clear, and natural. You do not need to change much to use them in different situations. That's what makes them so useful and practical. Let's practice with a short story. Imagine you are in an online video call. Everything is fine at first, but suddenly your internet becomes slow. A native speaker would immediately say, "Hold on, my internet is lagging." They would not explain the technical details. They focus on what is happening right now. After the call ends, they might say, "I need to restart my router before the next meeting." This sounds natural because it focuses on action and context, not long explanations. Now let's combine reactions with technology phrases. Imagine your app crashes while you are sending an important message. A native speaker might say, "Seriously, the app just crashed." This sentence shows frustration clearly without extra words. Or imagine your file finally uploads after many tries. You might say, "Finally, it went through." These small reactions help your English sound alive and real. This is one of the biggest secrets to thinking like a native speaker. Do not try to build perfect sentences in your head. Focus on what happened, how you feel, and what you want to do next. The language will follow naturally. Native speakers do not speak perfectly all the time, but they speak clearly and naturally. When you start using short sentences, natural connections, and quick reactions, your English will change completely. You will speak faster, feel more confident, and stop translating in your head. Over time, this way of thinking will become automatic. That is when English stops feeling like a subject you study and starts feeling like a language you truly use. Let's go back to an example. Imagine you're sending an important message and suddenly the app crashes. A native speaker might react immediately by saying, "Unbelievable. It crashed again." Or, "I can't believe this app froze." Notice the order. First comes a short emotional reaction, then the speaker explains what happened. This order is very natural in English. Native speakers often react first and explain second. You can practice this pattern in many situations, not just with technology. In advanced English, storytelling is one of the best ways to start thinking like a native speaker. When you tell a story naturally, you automatically use short sentences, clear reactions, and simple connections between ideas. For example, yesterday I tried a new productivity app. At first, it worked perfectly. Everything was smooth and fast. After a few hours, it suddenly started crashing. My reaction was simple. Well, that's disappointing. Short, natural, and emotional. I tried to open the app again, but it still did not work. Then I said, "Guess I'll have to wait for the update." This short story shows actions, feelings, and logical steps in a very natural way. This is exactly how native speakers talk. Another important part of native thinking is using conditional sentences simply. For example, instead of saying, "If my phone does not work, I will not be able to finish my task," a native speaker would say, "If my phone acts up, I can't finish my task." The meaning is the same, but the verb is simple and there are no extra words. Another example, "If the app crashes, I'll just restart it." This sentence is short, natural, and perfect for conversation. Now, think about how native speakers describe problems that happen repeatedly. Instead of saying, "I have had issues with my Wi-Fi multiple times," they say, "My Wi-Fi keeps going out." Instead of saying, "I have problems with this app regularly," they say, "This app keeps crashing." Using keeps plus verb is a very common and natural way to talk about repeated problems. It sounds real and conversational. Let's practice combining reactions, technology phrases, and native thinking in one short story. I was writing a report late in the evening. Everything was going fine, but suddenly my laptop started to lag. Without thinking, I said, "Not again." "Why no?" I tried to save the document, but the app froze. I reacted immediately and said, "Great, just what I needed." My reaction came first, and the explanation followed naturally. After a few seconds, the screen went blank. I waited, hoping it would fix itself. Nothing happened. I restarted the app and opened the file again. Thankfully, my work was still there. I took a deep breath and said, "Okay, that was close." This sentence clearly shows relief without explaining it directly. This is how native English works: short reactions, simple sentences, and clear actions. Native speakers do not try to sound perfect or advanced. They focus on expressing what is happening and how they feel in the moment. When you start using this style, your English will feel easier and more natural. The key lesson is simple. Do not translate in your head. Do not search for perfect grammar. Think in actions, reactions, and results. Let the language follow naturally. When you practice this way every day, your English will slowly start to sound confident, fluent, and truly natural. When everything finally worked again, I looked at the screen and said, "Finally back on track." This small story clearly shows frustration, action, and relief. Each sentence is short, emotional, and natural. This is exactly how a native speaker would talk. They do not explain every feeling, they let the words show it. When native speakers talk about new technology, they often use feelings or simple comparisons instead of complex words. For example, instead of saying, "This update is extremely beneficial," they say, "This update really helps," or "This new feature is super useful." The meaning does not change, but the feeling does. The second version sounds friendly and conversational, not formal or robotic. Short and simple sentences carry meaning clearly and naturally. Let's focus on giving instructions. Native speakers usually avoid long and complicated instructions unless truly needed. Instead of, "You must press this button in order to proceed with the application," they say, "Just press this button to continue." Instead of, in order to fix the issue, please restart the app, they say, restart the app to fix it. Removing extra words makes sentences faster, clearer, and more natural. You can also express surprise or disappointment naturally. Phone battery dies quickly. Seriously, already dead, or not again. The battery is gone. App updates suddenly. What did they change this time? Or, I don't like the new design. These sentences are short, emotional, and very human. They show how native speakers think and react naturally. When talking about plans or expectations, native speakers use simple verbs. Instead of, I will attempt to open the application later, say, I'll try opening the app later. Instead of, I plan to back up my files tonight, say, I'm going to back up my files tonight. These small changes make English sound natural, even at an advanced level. Here are more examples of natural sentences you might see in messages or hear in daily life. I accidentally closed the tab. The download is taking too long. My password doesn't work anymore. I forgot to save the file. The website is down right now. Each sentence is short, clear, and ready for real life. You do not need to change much to use them in different situations. The main idea to remember: native English is not about big words or long explanations. It is about clear ideas, natural reactions, and simple actions. Native speakers think first about what happened, how they feel, what they will do next. Then the language follows naturally. When you practice English this way, you stop translating in your head. You start reacting naturally. Over time, this becomes automatic. Your English feels easier, faster, and more confident. This is how English moves from something you study to something you actually use every day, just like a native speaker. All of these sentences are short, complete, and easy to use. For example, the notification disappeared. I need to clear the cache. These sentences are simple, but they work perfectly in real life. Memorizing sentences like these and practicing them in everyday situations will help your English start to feel natural, just like a native speaker's. Let's return to story mode for more practice. Last night, I tried a new streaming service. At first, the video played perfectly, but after 10 minutes, it started buffering. I immediately said, "This is ridiculous." I tried refreshing the video, but nothing worked. Then I said, "I guess I'll switch to another app." Just as I was about to leave, the video started playing again. I said, "Finally, smooth streaming." Each sentence in this story is short, natural, and shows a clear reaction. It also tells the story in a simple way that is easy to follow. Another important tip is to notice how native speakers reduce sentences to make them faster and easier to say. For example, instead of, I am not able to log into my account at this moment, say, I cannot log in right now. Instead of, I was not able to send the message because the app crashed, say, I could not send the message. The app crashed. Short, complete sentences like these are easier to think in, and they sound much more natural in conversation. Now let's look at combining multiple ideas naturally. Instead of saying, my Wi-Fi stopped working, and I could not continue my work, and I was very frustrated, a native speaker might say, my Wi-Fi stopped again, so I couldn't finish my work. It was really frustrating. Using connectors like so or and makes the story flow naturally without adding unnecessary words. Small adjustments like this make your English sound much smoother. You can also use everyday expressions for common technology problems. Instead of, this problem occurs frequently, it keeps happening. Instead of, I am extremely frustrated with this situation, I'm done with this. Instead of, this is very inconvenient and difficult, this is a nightmare. These short, natural phrases make your English feel alive and human, not like a textbook. Thinking like a native also means noticing patterns in questions. Instead of, can you explain to me why this app does not work properly? Say, Can you tell me why this app isn't working? The sentence is shorter, easier to say, and sounds more natural. The focus is on getting information quickly and clearly, not on using all the words perfectly. When you practice this way, using short sentences, natural reactions, everyday expressions, and simple connectors, your English starts to flow like a native speaker's. You stop over-explaining, you react naturally, and your stories and conversations become clear, smooth, and confident. This is the key to thinking and speaking like a native. Native speakers also ask questions in a short and simple way. Instead of, "Do you know why this app is not working?" "Why isn't this app working?" Instead of, "Is it possible for me to log in now?" "Can I log in now?" Short, direct questions are faster to say, easier to understand, and sound natural in conversation. Let's continue the story. After struggling with the streaming app, I opened my favorite productivity app. At first, everything worked fine. Then a notification appeared. The app needed to restart. I immediately said, "Seriously, again?" I clicked restart and the app closed. When it reopened, I said, "Finally, I'm back." Each sentence is short, complete, and shows my immediate reaction. This is the essence of native thinking, expressing what happens first, then letting your feeling naturally follow. Native speakers also use short sentences to show emotions indirectly. Instead of, "I am very happy that my app is finally working, at least it is working now." Instead of, "I am very frustrated that my internet keeps disconnecting, not again. The Wi-Fi went out." Small changes like this make your sentences feel alive and human. When giving advice, natives prefer simple suggestions. Instead of, "It is necessary for you to restart the app in order to solve the issue, try restarting the app." Instead of, "You should update your software immediately to avoid problems, update the software to avoid issues." Short, direct sentences work best in conversation. Here are more examples of natural sentences you can use right away. "I accidentally pressed the wrong button. The app logged me out again." "My computer is running slow. I need to delete some files." "The download is stuck." "The battery died quickly." All of these sentences are short, clear, and ready for real-life conversations. Practicing them regularly will help your English sound natural and effortless. Now, let's continue the story. While I was working on my laptop, I received a message from a friend asking for a file. I quickly sent it, but my email froze. I immediately said, "Of course, this had to happen now." Each sentence shows my reaction first, then the situation. This is exactly how natives think and speak: short sentences, real reactions, and simple explanations. By using these techniques, short sentences, natural reactions, and simple connectors, your English will start to sound alive, human, and real. When you use short sentences, simple advice, and indirect expressions of feelings, you can start thinking like a native speaker. You no longer have to translate word by word. You can react naturally, describe events clearly, and make your English flow smoothly. With practice, this way of speaking becomes automatic. Your conversations will feel easier, faster, and more confident, just like a native speaker's. For example, after a few moments, the email I sent finally went through. I said, "Finally, it went through." This small story uses short sentences, immediate reactions, and technology phrases naturally, just like a native speaker would. Native English often uses simple words in creative, human ways. Instead of saying, "The software is functioning properly," natives say, "The software works fine." Instead of saying, "I encountered a problem with my device," they say, "My device gave me a problem." Using simple words, a natural tone, and direct meaning makes your English sound alive and real. When describing repeated problems, natives often combine verbs with words like keep, go, or act. "My app keeps crashing." "The Wi-Fi keeps cutting out." The printer keeps jamming. These patterns are very important. They help your English feel conversational and let you start thinking like a native speaker. Let's continue the story. After finishing work, I wanted to watch a video. I opened the app, but it froze immediately. I said, "Seriously, now." I closed it and tried again. This time it worked. I said, "Finally, no issues." Short, emotional, and clear sentences like these create a natural flow in storytelling. You show what happened, how you felt, and the outcome all in a few words. Another useful tip is to notice how natives reduce extra words. Instead of, "I was not able to complete the task because my laptop froze unexpectedly," a native speaker says, "My laptop froze, so I could not finish." Instead of, "I experienced difficulties with the application multiple times," they say, "The app kept giving me problems." These small reductions make speech faster, easier to follow, and natural in conversation. You can also practice connecting events and reactions smoothly. Instead of, "My phone died and then my Wi-Fi went out and I was frustrated," say, "My phone died and then the Wi-Fi went out, which was really frustrating." Small connectors like "and then" or which help your story flow naturally. The events, feelings, and outcomes are all clear without extra words. Now let's look at expressing opinions in daily text situations. Instead of, "In my opinion, this feature is unnecessary," a native speaker might say, "I feel like this feature isn't needed." Instead of, "I think this update is very good," they say, "This update really helps." Short sentences, simple words, and a human tone make your English sound natural, friendly, and easy to understand. By practicing short sentences, natural reactions, simple connectors, and everyday expressions, you can start thinking like a native. You react naturally, describe problems clearly, and tell stories smoothly. Over time, this approach will make your English faster, easier, and more confident, just like a native speaker's. For example, instead of, "In my opinion, this update is useful," natives simply say, "I think this update is useful." Instead of, "It seems that this app is not good," they say, "This app does not seem very good." Using simple verbs like think, feel, seem, or look makes sentences sound natural, clear, and easy to use in conversation. When telling stories, natives often use short, connected sentences with reactions. I opened the app. It froze immediately. I said, "Not again." I restarted it and finally it worked. Each sentence is short, emotional, and easy to follow. This is exactly how native speakers think. They focus on events, feelings, and actions in order, not grammar rules. Another key part is giving instructions naturally. Instead of, "You should press this button in order to continue," natives say, "Press this button to continue." Instead of, "In order to fix the problem, you must restart the app," they say, "Restart the app to fix the problem." Short, direct sentences are easier to say, easier to think, and sound more natural. Let's continue the story. After finishing work and video calls, I wanted to check my phone. I tried opening an important message, but the app froze. I said, "Seriously, now." I closed it and reopened it. This time it worked. I said, "Finally, I can read it." Short, emotional, and natural sentences like these tell the story clearly and keep it alive. Native speakers often describe emotions indirectly through events. Instead of, "I am frustrated because my laptop froze," they say, "My laptop froze again," which is frustrating. Instead of, "I am happy that the app works," they say, "At least the app works now." This small change makes your English feel natural, human, and conversational. Here are more natural sentences you can practice every day. I accidentally deleted the wrong file. The app keeps logging me out. My battery drained too fast. The link is not opening. I need to update my software. The screen is frozen. Short, clear sentences like these are ready for real-life conversations and can be used in many situations without thinking too much. Let's continue the story. I tried to download a new app, but the download was slow. I said, "Great, now this too." I waited a few minutes and tried again. Finally, it finished. I said, "At least it's done." Each sentence is short, shows my reaction, and describes what happened next. This is native thinking in action. Event first, reaction second, simple words, short sentences, and natural flow. Using these patterns, simple verbs, short sentences, natural reactions, indirect emotions, and clear connectors will make your English sound like a native speaker's. Over time, you stop translating in your head, react naturally, and your sentences flow smoothly in real conversations. Short, clear, human sentences are the secret to speaking confident, natural English. For example, when the download was very slow, I said, "This is taking forever." I paused, tried again, and it finally finished. I said, "Finally, it worked." Each sentence is short, complete, and natural. It shows frustration, action, and relief, just like a native speaker would express. Instead of saying, "My computer is slow," natives often say, "My computer is lagging." Instead of, "The app is not working properly," they say, "The app keeps crashing." Using simple verbs like lag, crash, freeze, act up makes sentences dynamic, natural, and human. They also show the speaker's feelings about the situation. Natives use this approach to make technology feel alive, not just to describe facts. Imagine another situation. You are working on a report, and suddenly your software closes. A native speaker might immediately say, "Not again. I just saved that." This sentence is short, emotional, and complete. It expresses frustration, gives context, and describes the action in one go. You don't need to explain every detail. The listener can understand from your words and tone. Natives also use small, simple words to describe big problems. Instead of saying, "I encountered a critical failure in the application that prevented me from finishing my task," they say, "The app crashed and I couldn't finish my work." Simple, direct sentences are easier to follow and sound natural. You can practice summarizing events in 2 or 3 short sentences instead of trying to describe everything at once. Another important point is timing and order in sentences. Natives often put the main action first, then the result. "My Wi-Fi went out, so I couldn't join the meeting." Instead of, "I couldn't join the meeting because my Wi-Fi went out." The first sentence feels faster, smoother, and more conversational. Natural English prioritizes action over long explanations. Here are more short, natural sentences used in daily tech situations. "I need to charge my battery. The app is acting weird today. I accidentally deleted the message. My screen keeps freezing. The update didn't install." Each sentence is short, clear, and ready for real-life use. They can be combined with reactions to tell a story naturally. For example, imagine writing a document while the Wi-Fi suddenly stops. You might say, "Not again. My Wi-Fi went out. Now I need to restart the router." Each sentence shows your immediate reaction and the action you take. Short sentences like this keep your story moving and show your thoughts and feelings clearly. Using these patterns, short sentences, simple verbs, natural reactions, action-first order, and small connectors will make your English sound like a native speaker. You can react naturally, describe events clearly, and tell stories smoothly without overthinking grammar. Over time, this way of speaking becomes automatic, faster, and confident. Your English will feel alive, human, and ready for any conversation. Here's another example. The download was very slow. I said, "This is taking forever." I paused, tried again, and it finally finished. I said, Finally, it worked. Notice how each sentence is short, complete, and natural. It shows frustration, action, and relief, just like a native speaker would. Instead of, "My computer is slow," natives say, "My computer is lagging." Instead of, "The app is not working properly," they say, "The app keeps crashing." Using simple verbs like lag, crash, freeze, act up makes sentences dynamic and human. They also show the speaker's feelings. Imagine again, you're working on a report and suddenly the software closes. A native speaker might say, "Not again. I just saved that." This sentence is short, emotional, and complete. It expresses frustration, gives context, and shows the action, all in one go. Natives also summarize big problems with small words. Instead of, "I encountered a critical failure in the application that prevented me from finishing my task," they say, "The app crashed and I couldn't finish my work." Key points to remember about native English thinking. Event first, reaction second. Action comes before emotions. Short, complete sentences, don't over-explain. Simple verbs, lag, crash, freeze, act up make sentences feel alive. Small connectors, and then, so make stories flow naturally. Indirect expressions of feelings show emotions through events, not long explanations. When you practice this way, your English stops feeling like translation and you start speaking naturally, clearly, and confidently, just like a native speaker. Native English is fast, clear, and easy to understand. Short, direct sentences, simple verbs, and natural reactions keep your English alive, human, and confident. Let's see how this works in technology conversations. Giving instructions naturally. Instead of, "In order to fix the problem, it is necessary to restart your device." A native speaker says, "Restart your device to fix the problem." Instead of, "You need to press this button to proceed with the application," they say, "Press this button to continue." Short, direct instructions are easier to follow and sound natural in everyday conversation. Using verbs creatively. Instead of, "The computer is malfunctioning," natives say, "The computer is acting up." Instead of, "The application is not working properly," they say, "The app is misbehaving." Verbs like act up, misbehave, freeze, lag, and crash are very common in technology conversations. Using them makes English dynamic, human, and alive. Story example, updating software. While working late, I got a notification that my software needed an update. I thought, "Not now, I'm busy." I postponed it, but a few hours later the update started automatically. I said, "Great, just when I needed it the least." I waited for it to finish and then said, "Finally, everything is up to date." Notice the pattern. Event first, reaction second, outcome last. Describing repeated problems. Native speakers summarize recurring issues in short, simple sentences. Instead of, "The device encountered multiple errors and stopped functioning correctly," they say, "The device keeps giving me problems." Instead of, "The internet connection has been very unstable for several hours," they say, "The Wi-Fi keeps cutting out." Other examples. The app keeps crashing. The printer keeps jamming. The battery keeps dying. Pattern. Keeps plus verb describes repeated problems quickly and naturally. Telling stories naturally. Example. I was finishing a report. The app froze. I said, "Not again." I restarted it and finally it worked. Each sentence shows action, reaction, result. This is exactly how native speakers think and speak. They focus on events first, feelings second, results last. Giving advice simply. Instead of, "It is recommended to restart your device to fix the issue," say, "Restart your device." Instead of, You should update the app to prevent problems. Say, update the app to avoid issues. Simple, direct sentences are easier to say, easier to understand, and sound natural. Expressing reactions. Example, watching a video that won't play. Seriously, why now? After refreshing. Finally, smooth streaming. Instead of, I am very frustrated, natives say, this is so frustrating. Instead of, I am very happy it works, natives say, this is great. Small words like so or finally make sentences feel alive, human, and natural, showing cause and effect clearly. Instead of, the printer is not functioning properly and it prevents me from printing my documents. Say, the printer is not working, so I cannot print. Short sentences, clear cause and effect, and natural connectors like so or which make speech flow smoothly. Story example, sending an email. While sending an email, my internet went down. I said, of course, right now. The email could not send. I waited a few seconds, then the connection returned. I said, finally, it went through. Each sentence is short, emotional, and shows the event, my reaction, and the result. Key strategies to think like a native. Short sentences easy to say, understand, and remember. Simple verbs act up, misbehave, freeze, lag, crash. Immediate reactions express feelings naturally. Action first, feeling second. Result last, event-driven thinking. Natural connectors and so, then, which. Small words for emotions so, finally, at least, really. Using these strategies, you will stop translating in your head. React naturally in conversations. Describe events clearly. Tell stories smoothly. Speak English fast, confident, alive, and human. Thinking and speaking like a native speaker. Native English is fast, clear, and human. Short sentences, simple verbs, natural reactions, and small emotional words make your English feel alive and confident. Here's how to practice it in real-life situations. 1. Use short, complete sentences. Example, I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. Finally, the email sent. Each sentence shows frustration, action, and relief. This is exactly how natives speak. Reduce extra words whenever possible. Instead of, I was unable to log into my account at this moment, say, I cannot log in right now. Instead of, I experienced difficulties with the app repeatedly, say, the app kept giving me problems. Short sentences are easier to say, faster to think, and simple to understand. 2. Give instructions naturally. Instead of long explanations. You must press this button in order to proceed. Press this button to continue. In order to fix the problem, you must restart the app. Restart the app to fix the problem. Short, direct instructions are easier to follow and sound natural. 3. Use verbs creatively. Instead of saying, the computer is malfunctioning, the computer is acting up. The application is not working, the app is misbehaving. Other common tech verbs, crash, freeze, lag, act up. These make your English lively and human, not stiff or formal. 4. React immediately. Describe events clearly. Story example. While joining a webinar, my laptop froze. I said, not again. This is so annoying. I restarted the browser and finally joined the call. Finally, I am in. Notice the pattern. Reaction, action, result. Each sentence is short, complete, and natural. 5. Use connectors naturally. Instead of, I could not send the email because my internet went down and I was frustrated. Say, my internet went down, so I could not send the email, which was frustrating. Connectors like so and which help your story flow smoothly without extra words. 6. Express feelings indirectly. Instead of, I am very frustrated. This is so frustrating. I am very happy that the app works. At least the app works now. Small, natural words make your English feel alive, human, and conversational. 7. Follow natural sentence order. Native speakers often structure sentences as action, result, feeling. Example: the app froze. I could not finish my report. This was really annoying. This order keeps speech clear, fast, and natural. 8. Practice with everyday text situations. Short, ready-to-use sentences. The app keeps logging me out. My battery is draining fast. The download is stuck. The link is not opening. I accidentally deleted the file. The screen keeps freezing. 9. Combine stories, reactions, and actions. Example: yesterday I tried a new app. It worked at first, but then froze. I said, not again. I restarted it and it worked. Finally, back on track. Short sentences, clear reactions, and immediate results make English natural and fluent. 10. Use simple adjectives. Instead of, the update is significantly better, the update is much better. Instead of, the app is extremely slow, the app is really slow. Simple, clear adjectives make speech faster, easier, and more natural. 11. Reduce unnecessary words. Instead of, you must press this button in order to proceed with the application, press this button to continue. In order to fix the problem, you must restart the app. Restart the app to fix the problem. Short and direct instructions are easier to speak, understand, and remember. 12. More everyday text sentences. My headphones stopped working again. The app froze in the middle of a meeting. I accidentally deleted a file. I need to log in again. The battery is draining too fast. 13. Indirect emotions and flow. Instead of, I am frustrated because my laptop froze again, which is frustrating. I am happy the app works, at least the app works now. Short, natural sentences make your English alive and human. 14. Final story example. While working on a project, my internet went out. I said, of course, right now. I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. I said, finally, the internet is back. Short sentences, immediate reactions, and clear results are exactly how natives think and speak. Native English is fast, clear, and human. Short, complete sentences with immediate reactions and clear results make your speech natural and fluent. 1. Use short, complete sentences. Each sentence should show frustration, action, and relief naturally. I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. Finally, the email sent. I was finishing a report. The app froze. I said, not again. I restarted it and finally it worked. Short, emotional sentences reflect native thinking patterns. 2. Talk about repeated problems. Natives often use keeps plus verb to describe recurring issues. The app keeps crashing. The Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting. The printer keeps jamming. The battery keeps dying quickly. The screen keeps freezing. This pattern is common, clear, and easy to remember. 3. Be creative with words. Instead of long formal phrases, the software is functioning properly, the software works fine. I encountered a problem with my device. My device gave me a problem. The device is malfunctioning. The device is acting up. The application is not working. The app is misbehaving. Simple. Human words make your English alive and natural. 4. Focus on immediate effects. Natives often describe problems directly and clearly. The printer is not working, so I cannot print. The internet went down, so I could not send the email, which was frustrating. Short sentences with clear cause and effect improve flow and comprehension. 5. Reactions first, then solutions. Instead of over-explaining, my app froze and I had to restart it, which was frustrating. The app froze. I restarted it. finally, it worked. Follow this order for natural storytelling. Problem, reaction, solution. 6. Reduce extra words. I was unable to log into my account at this moment. I cannot log in right now. I experienced difficulties with the app repeatedly. The app kept giving me problems. Shorter sentences are faster to think, easier to speak, and simple to understand. 7. Use direct verbs for instructions. Restart the app. Update your software. Check the Wi-Fi. Clear your cache. Press the button to continue. Short, clear instructions are natural in daily conversations. 8. Short stories with tech issues. Example 1. Webinar. While joining a webinar, my laptop froze. I said, "Not again." This is so annoying. I restarted the browser and joined the call. I said, "Finally, I'm in." Example 2. Laptop update. While finishing work, my laptop needed an update. I postponed it, but later it started automatically. I said, "Great, just when I needed it the least." I waited and then said, "Finally, everything is updated." Example 3. Email. I wanted to send an urgent email, but my internet went down. I said, "Of course." I waited a minute and tried again. It worked. I said, "Finally, the email sent." 9. Use natural connectors. Connect ideas smoothly with small words, so, which, then. My internet went down, so I could not send the email, which was frustrating. Connectors make speech flow naturally without extra words. 10. Practice daily text sentences. Short, ready-to-use examples. The app keeps logging me out. My battery is draining fast. The download is stuck. The link is not opening. I accidentally deleted the file. The screen keeps freezing. 11. Indirect expressions of feeling. I am frustrated because my laptop froze. My laptop froze again, which is frustrating. I am happy the app works. At least the app works now. 12. Story example, new app. Yesterday, I was trying a new app. It worked at first, but then it froze. I said, "Not again." I restarted it and it worked. I said, "Finally back on track." Short, emotional, complete sentences make your English alive, human, and fluent.